Good day, king and queens. Welcome to another video. This was round 8. Now, this game was nothing short of a positional and strategic battle. Like I don't know, it was just spectacular. I enjoyed this game. I had the white pieces, and this was pretty interesting. This game was pretty interesting. I enjoyed it. Now, before this round, Coqueto had actually played this dude, one of my teammates, and he had the black pieces against that dude, and the same dude, Lovers, basically that's his name, plays e4, and against him he plays the French. He plays e6, but he thought I had prepared against him, and so he didn't want to go into this, and I didn't even know that it was him that I was going to be playing. My teammate also didn't tell me I was going to play a guy he played in the previous round. So I played e4, and instead of playing the French, he went for the Caro Kann, c6. I was happy to see this because this is one opening I like playing against, and people are yet to play the more testing lines against me, and I'll show you why. D4, D5, takes. I play the Panov attack. This is what I play on any given day, whether it's raining, it's winter, it doesn't matter. This is what I go for, right? So they are like modern theory G6 lines, Bishop G7 lines, right? There's all sorts. There's like also the old end game with like knight here, knight there, knight there, knight there. I don't really go for this endgame, but GMs have studied this endgame like insane. There's a lot of games in this endgame, and it's a draw. But I was not going to go for this, actually. I think you take here first. I'm not quite sure. But like, there's this endgame that has been exhausted, in my opinion, just like the Berlin endgame, actually, by grandmasters that when they play like this, that is exhausted by grandmasters when I think you take it first. I'm not quite sure, but like there's that end game, right? But I never usually go into it. So after c4, there are other lines that black can play, of course, just knight f6. So he started out actually with knight f6, which is fine. Knight c6. And he played e6. Now, this is an old way of playing this line. Usually, black wants to tuck out the bishop here on f5 or on g4, right? And then push e6, right? Let me say just knight f3, then e6. The bishop is better when it's outside the pawn chain, just patrolling this diagonal here. Nothing, no, not that diagonal, not neither there, but this one over here. And this is how modern Caro Kann is played, basically, right? He didn't go for this. He goes for this sort of older line, and this is playable when you want to play against this isolated d pawn, maybe after exchanges here. And then you play this b6 structure, bishop b7, knight b d7. Oh no, actually knight c6, not knight b d7. Just knight c6. Oh man, I can't draw arrows. Knight c6, rook a c8, bishop e7. Typical stuff, like positions that have been reached millions of times, even from the queen's pawn opening, I believe. But I thought that's what we were going to go for, but he didn't go for that. So here, now that actually e6 played, now knight f3 does not walk into any bishop g4 checks. Now I can play knight f3 with much ease. And here, he played h6, and I knew this was wrong, because immediately when he played h6, I was like, okay, he does nothing to support the center. He's giving me a tempo back, and on top of that, he's already a tempo down. And as you can tell by the evil bar, it kind of went to like plus 0.92, because this is a bad move. It looks harmless, and I asked him after the game. He said he didn't want to be pinned with bishop g5, but there's nothing to be afraid of because you always have bishop d6. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. But he didn't know this, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna start pressing now. So I played c5, right? Bishop is useless. I'm closing it down, basically. And if there's stuff like b6, there's always ideas of b4. If a5, there's always idea of a3 and rook b1. And something similar like that happened in the game. So now he plays knight c6, bishop b5 pins, bishop d7 unpins, short castles, right? Okay, queen c7, beautiful, well-timed move. to prevent the bishop coming to f4. And I think here maybe I had to play bishop f4 myself. I think bishop f4 I had to play myself in this position, just to ensure that I'm just going to take away all the important squares from him, right? But also knight h5 I think is playable immediately. Yeah, I think knight h5 is playable immediately. So I thought, okay, anyway, I just castled. And then now I'm headed. I want up. Actually, this was going to be on my next move. I was going to play bishop f4, but then he plays a well-timed queen c7. Then I played a3. And the point is, I want to meet, because usually in this line, black must break with like b6. But then if white can get in a good b4, and then if this takes, that takes, this becomes a pass c pawn, then maybe a4, bishop a3, supported behind with rook c1, move the knight in here. Those type of play, right? If you're familiar with this position, you play the Panov attack, you'd know what I'm talking about. So that's why I play a3. Also, potentially, should the attack sort of like change to the king side after he castled, right? I have this maneuver, which is a classical either through bishop a4 to c2, queen d3, setting up this bishop and queen battery on this diagonal. That's an idea. Or just bring it back this way instead. Bishop d3, c2, same idea, and then play the bishop out somewhere. I don't know, right? So it's playable. These are classical ideas, and you will know them if you've been like going through classical games. This is just general play, nothing fancy. So that's why a3. Right, and also once a3 also serves as a good move in other positions of the queen's pawn opening. Once the battery is set up here on c2 and on the queen on d3, the knight cannot easily jump in and fork them, and forcing off an exchange of an important attacking piece that helps in attacking the king once the king is castled short. I hope that makes sense. If it does not make sense, you can just leave a comment down below. I'll probably do certain covers of videos of those positions just so you understand. He plays bishop e7. Okay, doesn't make sense. Rook e1, putting the rook on an open file, of course. Now also there's ideas of knight e5, strengthening this post, maybe bishop f4 behind, bishop g3, and then pushing f4. Those type of things, right? Just really squeezing the juice out of the center. Stronghold. So that was how I was going to play this position. I'm comfortable with it. I've been playing it for a long time. I know it. Short castles. Okay, here we go. Now I play b4, right? And here I told him after the game he had to play a6 and just be prudent because there's nothing really here on the queen side. Then I'll play like bishop d3 and then bishop here, or bishop a2 like I told you. Classical old school maneuver of bringing the bishop to c2, setting up the queen battery, not like that. Queen battery here, the bishop and the queen battery here on with queen d3, that type of stuff, right? Yeah, and then that goes on. But then he plays a5. Now, a5 is an okay move. It makes sense. He wants to soften up the structure, but it's a bad move because now there's this hole here which can be occupied by knight a4, knight b6. That's one. Two, this pawn now can march forward and chase this pawn, this knight away, and I can actually have two pass pawns now, right? And this is how the game proceeded. I played rook b1, right? Unpinning from anything here. Because also I want to keep the option of placing the bishop here if needs be, and then after the knight goes here, supported, and then maybe if he takes and then takes, then this will be well supported by the bishop on b2. But I also want to keep the option of just sacking the bishop in the future somewhere there, or just putting it or leaving it somewhere in this diagonal, maybe even bishop e3 right here, right? Even bishop e3. So rook b1, best move, very flexible. I was glad that this was the bad move, best top engine move. I found it. He plays b6, and now this is where he went wrong, and this was a very critical position, and I played it perfectly. Like you can tell, the evil bar went from like minus point something to like minus 1.5. I mean 0.14 to 0.1. I think 8 to 2.1 actually. This is completely winning, right? And I saw this and I played the best move. Bishop takes, now you chop down. Bishop takes, and then b5. Now here I had calculated first queen takes, then b5, then queen c7, then c6, right? And then he can play something like now, perhaps rook f e8. This is what I thought, because this is still pinned, right? If I, okay, actually he can't, because if I take this, hits that with tempo, he can do that, but he can play, oh, he can actually play rook a d8. This is what I thought. And then after, maybe I play queen d3, and then now he can play bishop e8. This is what I thought, but like, he's gonna suffocate through this position, right? So instead of that takes, he took with the bishop. Then I played bishop b7. Now he cannot also play b5. He cannot play bishop b7 because the same idea applies. And now if he plays something like this, then I still just chop with tempo, because then I hit that. This is hanging, but I'm hitting the rook here with tempo, right? So he can play that. So he played the best move after bishop takes c6, b5, played bishop e8. Now here I calculated an insane line, but realized that it was not really practical. I calculated this interesting move, knight a4, sacking the pawn, takes, queen takes, and then bishop e3. Just invest in the b pawn. This is what I thought. Let's march down the board, because now if like bishop c6, I thought knight d4, right? And then bishop b7, then I thought knight b5, right? And then if queen here, I don't know, something was gonna happen, something had to give. That I thought to myself, I thought this was gonna be playable, but then I quickly rejected this side. We didn't get to this position, but this was me like visualizing it. And now the engine does says I'm losing, because I'm a pawn down, 2 pawns down, but I have nothing to show for it. The investment in the b pawn doesn't really make sense. It's too much of a gamble, right? So I was more practical, and I went for c6, right? Also here I can still kind of like keep the tension, and I think I can play, I thought also here of this line, takes here, right? And then if the queen has to go to d8 or somewhere, I have knight c5. Right? I can play this position. So I thought here, if maybe b7, knight c5, taking, well, you can't really do that because of a4, right? And then this is still a pass pawn. So here, maybe he plays something like a5, so that I can push a4 supporting the b pawn, but then just c6, right? The point is I'm still crashing through. Bishop comes here, bishop goes there. I'm about to march in this position. Maybe knight here, right, on e5, then queen d4, sneak in this way. I thought this was playable. I thought this was going to be fine. Absolutely. I even thought actually it was also okay for him in this line to sack. Yes, I thought it was okay to sack and try to play this game. It's playable. Okay, well, it says it's losing, but I thought maybe that he could do that. In fact, I was worried about that sacrifice even here on c6. I was worried, but I remember after analyzing with the engine, it says that there was nothing actually, and white is completely winning. But like, I feel like you can kind of still try to pose problems, maybe, right? Because after defending the knight, then just rook comes in, then maybe try to push, I don't know. Or maybe here I'll just go knight b5. I thought of something like this. But yeah, it's not practical. So after bishop takes on c6 and him taking, and then me pushing b5, let's go to that line. So that was bishop d6, no? So this was after c6. So after c6, he plays bishop d6, right? Okay, this is an okay move. And here I jump in with the knight on e4. Now, the beautiful thing about this knight now doesn't have access to these squares, because now my queen commands this diagonal. If he takes, I can even take this way, and once the knight goes somewhere, no, it can't go there because I'll just take knight h7. This sacrifice is actually quite strong. Like, for example, let me show you. I was thinking that this sack, if timed well, is actually extremely dangerous, because bishop f4 is coming. We're gonna push stuff like e6. Yes, the evil bar is like it's still 1.2. This is winning. I was gonna go for this sack. In fact, I was calculating this sack, right? Maybe rook here, not there. Oh no, pick up the piece. Maybe rook there. I don't know, maybe just queen behind the pawn. Like, he's got no moves. He's suffocating. He's suffocating. This is the second time in this tournament I was going to be completely basically suffocating my opponents, right? This is going to be a second time. So after bishop d6, I played knight e5. He went queen e7, and I got the feeling he doesn't really know what to do. I mean, why would you play queen e7? I thought maybe like here he'd go for something like knight h7, right, and then f5 or f6, trying to untangle himself, bring the bishop out this way because it's got no prospects on this side of the board, right? And try something, maybe even reroute the bishop to d3 and anchor it in here on c4, something, man. But like, not queen e7, not queen e7. Queen e7 is just, yeah, I got the feeling that my guy doesn't know what's going on here. That's 2.1. So I played a4 after being hesitant. So here I could have set up a trap with rook e3, and so he can take, because then takes, then takes, and then takes, and then knight takes, right? Kaboom. Cannot go here. Maybe he plays something like queen here. I have this knight check, but then the queen basically is trapped, just so you understand. The queen is trapped. I think here I can even play something like rook here, and then if queen b2, actually no, because the queen is kind of hitting the knight at that time. Actually here, now I can play just knight, yeah. And then if here, there was, I thought I saw something here. I can't remember. Yeah, but like, look, this is just horrible. The pawn is also just 2 squares from promoting, right? So I couldn't play that, but I thought these are like one move thoughts. And also, I like to keep the prospect alive of this bishop should he not take, right? Even though the rook is also swinging over to g3, right? Laser beaming, just eyeing basically the pawn there. That was the idea. But I rejected rook a3 and I went for a4. Just chill. Let's just solidify this. Let's play it slow, positionally, and let's just crush him, right? Let's just do that instead. That's what I thought to myself. And a4 is still fine. a4 is actually a pretty decent move. And so he plays king h7, and I play queen d3 check. So he can play king back, it's still fine. But then he starts pushing pawns in front of his king, which is again a mistake because it weakens his king side, right? It weakens his castle king, and his position is already awkward. So he plays g6, immediately queen h3, hitting the pawn here, right? Because now that is soft. That's what g3 conceded. It conceded the protection of this pawn. So queen h3, good move. And then he plays his worst mistake ever. Here I thought he had to go knight g8 and be passive, but at least this is safe. But he'll have to sit around and wait for me to basically improve my position slowly, maybe with f4, rook here, the right, reroute the knight this way. Like, I have all the time in the world. I have all the time in the world, and I need to be ready for such things. And if he ever breaks and pushes me back, sure, but then hopefully if I play it right, my advantage would be so significant that he's going to drop a piece or two or something like that. Also, mind you, the positioning of the pieces matter, because once this knight goes away for stuff like that, right, like something like this, these sacrifices are very much, obviously here I'll just lose a lot of material, just so you understand, but like these sacrifices are looming because the queen is, you gotta look for such things like in your position, you gotta think ahead. Queen h3, and this is still winning, by the way. And I saw this sack because this queen is in line with this rook, so you gotta ask yourself the question, what if I remove this piece? How can I remove this piece then? You know, such things. This is what you gotta ask yourself. If this piece goes, okay, what was it defending? It was defending d5. D5 is attacked by my knight, right? You ask yourself such questions. So I was already thinking in those lines, but then he made things way too easy. He plays h5, and I played the best move, bishop g5, pinning the knight permanently to the queen. Now the queen cannot move to here without losing this piece. It just can't. So now he tries to defend it with king g7, and then the last final dagger, queen h4. There is no way on earth he's going to hold this position. And now rook e3 patiently is coming, rook f3. I'm just going to win this knight. I am going to win this knight, slowly but surely. So he played bishop b4 before resigning. I played rook e3. And here I calculated this line. Bishop takes, rook takes, knight e4, bishop takes, knight takes, hits the rook, takes check, king takes check. Now the rook cannot attack the knight because of knight e7 check. You know, maybe he tries to live on and gallop his way out. I don't know, right? But I thought, because of the check here with the rook, this is winning. But you need to understand that this position might not have been winning if the rook was somewhere here, right? So let me just maybe say king here, rook there, king there, and then rook here. I'm trying to let's say rook there, drive a point home. Let's say the rook is there, and then I play here. So now I think this does not quite work because of that. Because now this is hanging, right? So, okay, maybe perhaps here he just moves away. Okay, it still works. It still works. I can't remember. I mean, I was seeing ghost in this game. Clearly, I was seeing ghost, but like it was winning. So I just played rook e3, and he resigned actually immediately after rook e3. He just resigned because rook f3 is coming. There's no stopping it. There is just no stopping rook e3. I'm gonna win this night, right? And if the king moves, I take getting a tempo on the queen, right? If the queen moves elsewhere, I don't know, maybe here, this is check, right there, mate, easy peasy. So this was a very, very good positional strategic battle for me. It was clean, it was amazing. I was happy about this game, and yeah, this was round 8 of the tournament. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, cheers.